What's going on, y'all? It's the Wavy Sport. I'm back with another volume of Welcome to the Franchise here. Trying to get back into it here with a new volume and a new season. Still in the preseason mode, preseason vibes for the guy right now. For the 25-26 season. New volume here, volume 2. Want to get into what's been going on and some of the stories out there or topics out there with the preseason kicking off, and it's still technically the off season, but the best part of it, which is preseason. You know what I mean? Got to see a little bit of action. You're still hearing about some things in training camp, certain things going on with certain players. So, let's get into it. Let me get straight into it with y'all. First off, where I want to start off at is the situation with Caleb Williams, right? Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. Let me start by saying this first, right? I told you, like, I told you as in, not I told you like, okay, I'm right about this and that. The jury's still out, still going to give him time here, but I told y'all this before last season. I just don't see it. He might actually be a bust. It might be pop for him. And this is what I was saying last season, right? I was saying last season that with Caleb Williams, some of the struggles he was having during the season last year, that I just really don't see it. I think that this is the dude right here in that draft class. This is the player that might be a bust, the number 1 overall pick at quarterback for the Chicago Bears. I was saying that I think he might be a bust. And one of the main reasons, me just, looking at draft prospects, watching a little bit of college football, seeing him at Oklahoma, seeing what he was able to do at USC. Yeah, he has some highlight plays. He has some flash plays. He's got ability. I'm not saying that he has no ability at all. He could throw it. He could run around a little bit behind the pocket. He could make plays. But I never really seen it like that it vibe where I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna, like, his game and everything is gonna transfer to the league and he'll be fine. Like, I still don't see it yet. Especially when I was seeing him at Oklahoma playing the quarterback position. I'm like, okay, like, everybody hyping this nigga. This the nigga everybody's going crazy about. I didn't really see nothing too special. Transfer to USC. Like I said, when he was playing at USC, few flash plays, crazy plays here and there, highlight plays. You see him on ESPN, highlights on YouTube, highlights all around. Okay, cool. But after that, I'm just like, I still don't know. You know what I mean? I don't really see it. And then, with some of the things that you're hearing out here in this training camp and then in this off season, slow reads, slow to react, slow to process things, bad body language reports also, again, you know what I mean? Like I said, I don't see it. The bull might really be a bust here. Or this may be the makings of a bust at this point right now, early in his career. I'm not saying that later on down the line, or maybe even later on down this season, that he can't turn it around. I just know that the way that it's sounding and looking with the reports lately, it don't sound too good. You know what I mean? And I'm going to stand on it to myself, stand on it with myself and to myself. Like, I told you, like, I don't think that Caleb Williams is like that. I didn't see it in college. Didn't see it, from the beginning at Oklahoma. Didn't see it at USC. Didn't really see too much last year from whatever highlights, because I damn sure wasn't watching no Bears games like that. But didn't see any highlights or whatever I was able to catch. In the NFL last year. I even went as far back to be like, all right, let me see what everybody was like so hype about with him coming out when he went to college and everything, right? So I look back during this all season actually to try and see, all right, a little bit of footage. Let's see what he was like in high school. Because, of course, you got to have big hype in the whole country, a big hype in high school, especially at the quarterback position. If you was really like that, motherfuckers was going crazy, right? And I look back, I seen some footage of him in some camps. I seen some footage of him in high school. And even still, I wasn't, like, impressed where, like, shit was just jumping out. You know what I'm saying? Popping my eye like that. I was like, oh, shit, all right. Now I seen maybe he just hasn't all clicked yet. Even then, I didn't really see anything. And like I'm saying, right now may just be because it's early in his career. We've been seeing quarterbacks like that in the past, 5 years or so, where they're getting drafted maybe in the top 5, their first franchise that they with, especially if it's a dysfunctional or fucked up ass franchise. They're not starting off the career right. The Sam Darnolds, Baker Mayfields of the world, all that shit, right? So I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say for right now with the Bears, it's a dub. I just don't think that he's it. Maybe down the line with another team or a few years from now, he could be a viable starter in the league, maybe a viable backup, or maybe it really just clicks for him and he ends up being, you know what I'm saying? He ends up being that nigga he was supposed to be and ends up being up for him. Maybe. I just know that right now how it sounds with the reports from camp and everything like that, slow to process things, not making the reads as fast as he needs to. Footage out there, bad body language during drills in the training camp. His coach didn't want to start him in the first preseason game, where every coach now, because it's limited preseason action and no one wants to get up to a slow start when it comes to the regular season, his coach is hiding him. Not hiding him, I won't say that. I'm not going to piggyback off what the mainstream media is saying, but his coach decided not to play him, whatever, right? Because, you have reports of sloppy starts, sloppy practices, and all that shit, right? Maybe he needs to get it right, but he still trusts that this is the dude that needs to be the starter, but we're not going to put that product out here. But, it's not all in all, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look for him, and shit. If it's sounding and looking bad now, I don't think it's gonna get better in the first 3 to 5 games, 3 to 6 games of the season to start. I definitely think that it's gonna look ugly for him in his first. I'll definitely say his first 3 games, where it's gonna look sick. It's gonna be sick work out there. And I am, like I said, I just don't see it. So I am low key ready to say, hey, that first quarter of the fucking season, I think we will kind of call him a bust. He'll probably have a shot to turn it around in the second quarter or mid-season and get a start again if he gets yanked or if it looks really bad and Ben Johnson's like, nah, we're still going to have him as a starter. We're going to ride it out. We're going to ride it out and see how this shit go, even though he's doing bad. And he'll have a shot to start looking a little bit decent, maybe mid to late season. Fine. But, like I said, I don't think it's a good look. It's sounding bad for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if overall his first, it's going on year 2, so there's still time, but his first 3 years in the league, 3-4 years in the league, he's low-key a bust or just very underwhelming. Maybe just with Chicago, it'll be underwhelming. So that's what I got to say on that. Moving on to the next subject here. Matt Stafford and the Rams. I want to talk about that a little bit, right, with their situation. So Matt Stafford, obviously a veteran, been playing in the league for a long time, has a Super Bowl championship ring, dealt with a lot of injuries in Detroit and still played through them, barring the last season before he got traded to the Rams. Dealt with some injuries with the Rams when he got there. So with the situation here, he's got the back injury, right? Of course, he's older, veteran, and a lot of wear and tear on him. With this situation here, I think Jimmy G is going to start, and at some point before the preseason's over, right before the season starts, they're probably going to trade for a younger backup, maybe if an opening or a good situation is there. Because if Jimmy Garoppolo has to start, I think they feel good about that, and he'll be decent. But over the course of 17 games, I don't think Jimmy G is gonna be able to get you all the way back there in the position that you are at. I'm not saying that Jimmy G is gonna start all 17 of the games, but what how it's sounding and at his age for Matt Stafford, the wear and tear he's got, he definitely ain't gonna be starting the first, I want to say, what, 3 to 6 games of the season. Because it sounds bad. He's on the older side. He's a veteran. He takes a lot of hits. He stands in the pocket. And who's to say that even if he comes back in week 2 of the regular season or week 3 of the regular season, that when he comes back, he's not going to get nicked up or hurt again after missing some camp action and, not being an emotion of things during the preseason. Not saying that he has to play a preseason game. Obviously, with his, with his status as a veteran, he doesn't have to play a preseason game. But who's to say that he's not going to get a little nicked up? Maybe a sprained ankle here, a thumb here, or maybe a little sore hammy here, or this, that, or whatever. You know what I mean? After not being an emotion in the action physically all the time, right? So you're going to have Jimmy Garoppolo starting probably the first, let's say 2 to 4 weeks, best case scenario, worst case scenario, 3 to 6 weeks, right? And if Matt Stafford is in his street clothes, who's going to be the backup? I think that they probably, just in case, just to cover themselves, sign or trade for, or whoever is on the waiver wire or on the free agent market, a good young backup, a decent young backup, not good, because no one's letting go of a good young backup. But they try and find someone like that. I mean, Stetson Bennett, that first preseason game, from some of the highlights I was able to catch, he looks pretty good. But are they really gonna trust him in actual real games? I don't know about that. Which leads me to my next point here on the subject is that I personally think that they should have grabbed their QB this year in this draft. Even though I think they're still probably in good shape for next draft class. They're still in good shape for that. They got Atlanta's first round pick as well with the draft that they had with the trade that they had in this year's draft. But honestly, I think they should have grabbed somebody in this draft right here, because look, check it. You got Atlanta's pick. Who's to say that Atlanta is not gonna make the playoffs, right? And if they don't, they're gonna be damn sure. They're gonna be damn fucking close to getting in there. So it's gonna be in the mid first round, between let's say 14 to 19 pick. And as good as this draft class is, you can probably get somebody good there, but is it gonna be the guy that you really want that fits your system once you go through the whole scouting process and after all the film is out and everything? Of course, it's still very early. Like I said, it's still basically the off season. We're only about to be going to week 2 of the preseason, and college football hasn't started yet. So we don't know what other new prospects are going to emerge. And, the way that shit is going these days, especially as the years go on, people talk about, record breaking. It could be 5, 6, 8 quarterbacks in the first round. We're going into the years where it look like at one point we're going to have fucking probably 8 to 10 fucking first round quarterbacks. Probably people that shouldn't be first round quarterbacks also, but it's just how crazy that shit is going and the game's going, especially offensively. There's going to be a lot of options for a quarterback in the first round that people are looking at as their franchise guy, right? So maybe even in that range with Atlanta's pick, it might look like that. But what if you make the playoffs? You know what I mean? You make the playoffs and your pick is all the way back there in the 20s. You're not getting the guy that you need. Let's say the Falcons may fuck around and make the playoffs with the Bucks, because I do predict the Bucks to win that division. But the Falcons, let's say Michael Penix has a big year. Let's say that defense starts clicking a little bit more under the tutelage of Raheem Morris, and then you got an offense going there. They could be that second team out of that division to make the playoffs. Now you're in the 22 times. And let's say these quarterbacks coming out are all really, really good, where by the time you're at pick 21, between 21 and 24, it's a dub. There's no quarterbacks left. You know what I mean? So I personally, and I have no problem here, I could be wrong here, I got no problem with that, but I personally think they should have grabbed a guy here in this past draft class. Somebody like Jackson Dart, I think would have been a great fit for them. And you see how, he ended up with the Giants. I think they made that trade with each other. Didn't feel comfortable about the kid, I guess. But I mean, obviously, because he's on the Giants, not with the Rams. But me personally, I think they would have been in good shape with at least grabbing a quarterback in this class, because I was already thinking about from last offseason how Stafford is getting up there. He still deals with injuries here and there. And you still want to, even if he was healthy, have a guy that if he goes down, or even if, you're getting ready for the next season, if he retires, you don't have to worry about that. And you just keep retooling on defense, retooling on offense, and you stay a perennial playoff person. Not saying that it's a definitive that the Rams are going to miss the playoffs in this season, but I still think that, it would have been a little bit smart to, I get it. Next year's draft class looks a lot more enticing as far as QB prospects. But I'm one of them people that's like, hey, better early than later. And if you go for it early and it doesn't work out, it's probably going to get graded for you later. That's kind of my philosophy on these things, and I kind of seen it happen in that way for the smart franchises that do that. And I'm not saying the Rams aren't a smart franchise. I'm sure they're going to figure it out and get it together. But I just think that they probably should have done that in this past draft class, because this back shit sounds a little bit serious, even though they're trying to make it not sound as serious. I don't give a fuck. The motherfucker's 37 plus, all that wear and tear and everything. To me, it's serious at this point in his career. But we'll see. They'll probably still make the playoffs or have a good, solid season. But we'll see. And real quick, before I move to anything else, I want to get into a little bit with the Bengals situation. They're talking about them getting off the slow starts. Everybody knows. I think everybody knows and is smart enough to predict that this is one of the teams that didn't make the playoffs that has a very favorable shot to make the playoffs this season. T. Higgins had a little quote, I guess, from a question from someone about, their slow starts and everything. Honestly, I'm not too worried about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is still a team that, even if they start off pretty good, let's say they start off 3-1, or start off 4-2, or start off 5-3, or even start off 6-3 or something like that in those first few weeks of the season. This is still a team, the way they're constructed, especially on defense, I'll say, that they could still end up being in some position that they were last year, or they can end up being 10-7, you know what I mean, or 9-8 as the season wears on, because of that defense. I'm still a little bit worried about that defense. They just got to put it all together. They got to get the situation squared away with Trey Hendrickson. They got it squared away with their first-round draft pick, finally, even though that situation is bizarre. And just my quick thoughts on that. I don't know why you would draft a dude in the first round who only had 4 sacks in his whole career in college, of all 4 years being there. I don't feel good about that at all. I'm not fucking with me personally as a GM. I'm not fucking with that shit at all. When I know I need some edge rushers and a pass rush, and I got a situation going on with my best pass rusher, you know what I'm saying, who has been a top 5 or a top 10 defender in the league. To draft someone like that, I don't know what you was thinking. But hey, you still, I guess they was like, fuck it, we still gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? When you got Miles Murphy in the cut, first-round pick, and you got Joseph Asai, what was he, a third-round pick a few years ago from Texas, who still pops a little bit and flashes, doesn't really finish plays, doesn't get a lot of sacks yet. I guess you feeling yourself to be like, fuck it, let's double up on that shit. And we got fucked up shit going on with our main pass rusher guy. But I think the Bengals will be fine as far as the start. I just got to see how they maintain and how they finish the season, because I'm still worried about that defense, and it still seems a little bit suspect to me. The offense could do so much, could only do so much. They're capable of outscoring most opponents, but we seen that last year where they were in shootouts and overtime games with a lot of teams that they ended up losing to, and that they it shouldn't have been that close probably with how good that their offense is with certain teams. We seen those shootouts against the Ravens, and the Ravens came out on top because the defense could have hold it down. We seen the shootout against the Broncos, went to overtime. They got away by the skin of their teeth. But to me, to be honest, if you put in Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase with Gesicki up against Bo Nix and Sutton, and who else did they have last year? I don't think it really should have been, not that it should have been that close, but it should have been more definitive and not had to have gone to overtime, if you're asking me personally. That's just my thoughts on that. And then to close out, before I wrap up here, let's get into Shadeur Sanders, right? Shadeur's performance, preseason game against the Panthers. Yeah, we get it. We know all those motherfuckers, the usual suspects. Oh, it was against the Panthers' third and fourth string, and guys aren't gonna make the team. Yeah, we get it. Yes, they're always gonna say that bullshit. But I told you he'd be fine, right? Did my boy look like he know the game, or did my boy look like he know the game? What I said in the last episode, I think that he's gonna be fine. I don't give a fuck if it's third and fourth stringers, niggas that's never gonna play. He was also thrown to and playing with third and fourth stringers and niggas that's never probably gonna make the league. But did he look like he could play? Did he look accurate? Did he look like he's making the throws? And the answer was yes. This motherfucker knows the game. You can see it in those highlights. You can see it in the game. If you watch the whole game, obviously I caught the highlights. But yeah, he looked good to me. It looks like he's gonna be fine. And what more reports coming out also that I heard that it wasn't with a lot of prep because they have him as the fourth string quarterback, which means he's not getting too many reps, right? They got Doug Gabriel ahead of him. Dylan Gabriel ahead of him. But that's instincts. That's knowing the game. That's playing the position of quarterback, and that's coming off of a college season where you were the most accurate quarterback in the league and the NCAA. You got feel for the game. You have accuracy. You have touch. You can make all the throws. And you're confident in yourself. There's no wrong with being confident in yourself. Some of the plays where he was, backing up and running around, where he probably should have thrown it away, that's part of being a young player in the league. I'm not saying that it's fine, but I'm not saying that it's not fine. It's not terrible. But like I thought, and like I said, I thought he would be fine. I'm glad that he put on and had a great performance to prove a lot of the haters, the doubters wrong a little bit. And I get it. It's just one preseason game. Even the dudes that are supposed to be primed as, they're supposed to be really good first rounders in years before, years past, and years to come, even they have games like that, and then the next game it's not as good, or it's up and down. Even during the regular season, it's up and down. But what it shows here in this sample right here, seeing him play, is that he can play the position, he can play the game, he belongs, he knows the game. And his talent shows that he shouldn't have been drafted all the way that low. We all know that, the world's seen it. So saw some great throws from him. That the one that sticks out to me the most, I know he had touchdown passes, he had some good first down passes, some out route passes, but the one that stuck out to me the most from the highlights that I was able to catch, he was doing a throw from his own end zone, and how his feet were set with his body angle and the pressure that was kind of coming towards him and the throw that he made, I'm just like, yeah, this motherfucker belongs. He's a quarterback. He's an accurate fucking quarterback. From the pocket, can roll around a little bit, can move a little bit, can run, has a little bit of speed. Not, like I said in the last volume, not as fast or whatever, but hey, fast and quick enough. He's moving like most of these quarterbacks do, when they have to escape from pressure and can move around a little bit. You know what I mean? But it's the accuracy for me, is how he throws the ball. Like I said, not in the last volume also, not the strongest arm, but hey, he got some zip on that shit. And he's still young, so as years go on, you start maturing, you do certain training, you get with a coach, you do certain weight training, conditioning, whatever, and your arm probably starts getting stronger for a few seasons, or you know how to utilize your arm strength for where it's at to make the throws that you need to make. And you see in this highlight in this last game, he already has that. So I'm not worried about that. But, I just like that he's having that success. Who knows for the next performance? I don't even care if it's bad. I don't care if it's, as long as it's not like terrible. He goes 10 for 27 and 3 picks, and has negative yardage with sacks. You know what I mean? But, he could play the game. That's what I was glad to see, that he showed that, and he's accurate. He has a feel for the game. Sometimes you see rookie quarterbacks, whether they're in the number 1 pick or the 6th round pick, and you see them and you're like, yeah, he doesn't really have a feel for the game, or he's mad frenetic, or he look nervous, or it's like, nah, this ain't it. You know what I mean? So I didn't really see that, which is a good thing. And then the little thing that people kind of been talking about that you've seen out there on social media, the little Tony Grossi thing, he went and addressed a reporter or a journalist or whatever in Cleveland that he said was talking bad about him. I don't think it was really a big deal. The way that it looked like even the dude Tony Grossi was kind of fine with it. It was all in good fun, but he still was like, hey, man, like, I don't know why you say stuff bad about me. I'm just, just letting you know, like, not that he don't even appreciate it. He's like, yo, I see it. You know what I mean? But I didn't think that it was anything that was, like, serious or that crazy. It looked like it was kind of all in good fun. They both kind of had, good interaction, fun interaction with each other. But, let's say this was a different type of vibe or journalist where when he was at Colorado, we seen and heard all the hate, not just at him, but at his father and other players on that team, and they were addressing it, not just face-to-face verbally, but with their play and responding, whether good or bad and everything. Like, I think it's kind of fair because we all know, and we all know how this shit go, especially when it's a black quarterback or when it's a certain kind of quarterback that is confident in themselves, believes in themselves, is a little bit brash, but has ability. There's those certain people that want to hate or talk shit. You know what I mean? They ain't never done what they did before, never done what they did on that level or even at a high school level. And when they talk shit, and it's just like, no, I think I should address this and let you know, like, yo, I heard what you said, but watch this. And I hope that Shadeur keeps doing that. Now, as far as always addressing every single person, you don't always got to address every hater, but just being like, hey, I saw what you said, but watch this. And I think that Shadeur, from what I've observed, and I could be wrong, but from what I've observed so far, is the kind of kid and the kind of player that has a decent balance of being very confident in himself while also has a level of humbleness to him and a level of like, hey, I see you, but watch this. And I think it's fine. Now, following that, some of the other guys that also had a good performance or solid performance that I was able to see from highlights, Jackson Dart did his thing too. Jackson Dart did his thing. I know he had a lot of doubters as well in his draft process. People thought he shouldn't have been a first rounder. I'm not gonna lie, I'm one of those people. I think maybe a second or third rounder, but shit, he looks from that. And like I said, it's only one game, but from the highlights I've seen and how he looked, yo, this dude had a solid game too. Same thing for my guy Cam Ward. So, those quarterbacks so far, they look pretty good. As far as the top picks or first round picks in this last draft. But shit, I'm gonna say this: Ashton Genty, God, that ain't it, my G. That ain't it. 3 carries, -1 yard. That ain't it, my G. I don't know what the fuck going on there, but like I said, it's still preseason. You know what I mean? Shit might get way better. He's probably playing against probably playing behind a third string offensive line. And then, once you put the whole offense together with other threats, Jacoby Myers and other receivers, Geno Smith's ability, Brock Bowers. Like, you can't put everybody in the box, especially in today's NFL with today's offenses. So we'll see. Hopefully it gets way better than that, because that ain't in my G. But that's going to wrap this one up here for Welcome to the Franchise. It's your guy, the Wavy Sport. Y'all out there, be easy.